Welcome back to another Explainer. Today we are diving into a high-stakes story of true nation-building, the epic and honestly staggering creation of the Indian Constitution. We're going to trace the exact historical roadmap, look at the incredible personalities involved, and really grasp the mammoth effort it took to draft the rulebook for the world's largest democracy.
So let's kick things off with the ultimate question. Picture this. You finally secured independence. How on earth do you construct a cohesive legal masterpiece for millions of diverse people, right out of the ashes of a 200-year empire? You don't just sit down and draft a document of this magnitude over a weekend. You have to really understand the foundation it was built upon, and frankly, the oppressive foundation it had to tear down.
Section 1. The Era of British Acts.
To truly appreciate the magnitude of India's constitutional achievement, we first have to look at the scaffolding that came before it. This is the era of British rule, which effectively stretched from 1857 to 1947, but its legislative roots go even deeper. The foundation actually evolved through a series of sweeping British acts. We're talking way back to the Regulating Act of 1773, through the various Charter Acts, the Government of India Act of 1858, all the way to the Indian Independence Act of 1947. Each of these pivotal steps, slowly, methodically, shifted how the subcontinent was managed.
It's actually wild to see how the British East India Company morphed over this time. Look at the 1773 Regulating Act, which notably established a Supreme Court, and compare that with the 1833 Charter Act. That's a massive shift. The 1833 Act effectively ended the profit-driven commercial activities of the company. It literally transformed it from a sprawling trading outfit into a strict administrative body governing the nation. This was the exact administrative machinery the British used to tighten their grip on India.
Section 2. Demanding a sovereign assembly.
But look, the people of India weren't just going to accept rules handed down from an empire forever. They demanded a voice. They knew that true freedom meant the ability to write their own destiny without any outside interference. And this push for self-determination, it wasn't some sudden realization. Watch how it builds. You have Bal Gangadhar Tilak making an early demand for an assembly back in 1895. Fast forward to 1934, and you have M.N. Roy's crucial insistence that a constituent assembly must consist of Indians only. Then, in 1938, Jawaharlal Nehru, stepping up for the Indian National Congress, escalates it even further. He demanded the Constitution be framed entirely by an assembly elected on universal adult franchise, meaning every single adult citizen gets a vote, no matter their wealth or social status.
And while those political demands were being made, there was massive, unrelenting pressure happening right on the ground. People got incredibly creative and resilient in how they protested. Citizens were painting, printing, and putting on street plays known as Nukkad Natak. They completely boycotted British products, literally pouring out English wine. It went so far that even washermen and soldiers were leaving their posts just to force the empire's hand. The pressure was an absolute pressure cooker.
By March 1942, the British were seriously feeling the heat. So they sent Sir Stafford Cripps over with a proposal to draft a constitution. But of course, there was a catch. It would only happen after World War II was over. Yeah, the Indian leaders weren't having any of it. They boycotted the mission entirely. Mahatma Gandhi famously delivered this legendary, dismissive blow, calling the Cripps mission nothing more than a post-dated check of a bankrupt company. The time for delays and empty promises was officially over.
Section 3. Forming the Constituent Assembly.
All that relentless, on-the-ground pressure, it worked. It paved the way for the Cabinet Mission Plan in 1946, and finally, the actual formation of the Constituent Assembly. This was the body of elected representatives whose singular job was to draft the Constitution and bring it to life. Elections for the 296 allotted seats were held in July 1946. The Indian National Congress swept in with a massive majority of 208 seats. The Muslim League secured 73 seats, and the remaining 15 seats went to smaller groups and independent candidates. So that sets our political stage. That tells us exactly who was in the room when the most monumental decisions in the nation's history were being made.
Now I want you to step into the war room of December 1946. It is incredible how fast things moved in just 5 days. On December 9th, the Assembly holds its very first meeting, with Dr. Sachidanand Sinha acting as the temporary president. A mere 2 days later, on December 11th, Dr. Rajendra Prasad is officially appointed as president, alongside constitutional advisor B.N. Rao. And then, boom, December 13th, Jawaharlal Nehru introduces the Objective Resolution. This was absolutely huge because this resolution laid the entire philosophical foundation for what would later become the preamble of the Constitution.
Section 4. Drafting the Indian Constitution.
Okay,
The administrative foundation is set, the leadership is locked in. Now it was time to actually write the rules of this new republic. We're moving beyond big, sweeping ideas into meticulous, detailed legal framing. On August 29, 1947, the legendary drafting committee was appointed. This was the core team, folks. It was firmly anchored by its chairman, the brilliant Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. And he was joined by 6 other exceptional legal minds: N. Gopalaswamy Iyengar, Aladi Krishnaswamy Iyer, Dr. K.M. Munshi, Syed Mohammad Sadullah, N. Madhav Rao, and T.T. Krishnamachari. These 7 individuals had the immense task of synthesizing every debate, every report, into one cohesive, workable draft.
And the focus of this specific team was just intense. To forge this massive legal document, the drafting committee sat together for exactly 141 days. Just think about that for a second. 141 days of rigorous debate, intense negotiation, and refining of highly complex legal language, all to ensure this framework could actually govern such a vast, incredibly diverse nation.
Honestly, given the sheer size and weight of what they were building, it is no wonder at all that the Constituent Assembly chose the elephant as their official symbol. It's so fitting. The elephant perfectly represents the enormous scale, the deep memory, and the undeniable weight of this democratic undertaking. I mean, it was quite literally a mammoth task.
Section 5. A handcrafted masterpiece.
Now, here is one of my absolute favorite details about this whole story. This Constitution wasn't just some dry legal text meant to sit in a dusty filing cabinet. It was a physical work of art. It was painstakingly created without a single modern typewriter or printing press. Every single page of the original document was handwritten. Prem Bihari Narayan Raizada masterfully handled the English calligraphy, while the Sant Krishnavaya tackled the calligraphy for the Hindi version. And it wasn't just beautiful writing. Each page was uniquely illuminated and decorated by legendary artists from Shanti Niketan, including Bayo Ramanarasinha and Nandalal Bose. They quite literally turned a book of laws into an absolute national treasure. Of course, building a nation from the ground up doesn't come cheap. The sheer, staggering scale of this epic process is reflected right in the total expenditure. Organizing the entire assembly, hosting the sessions, drafting, debating, and finalizing the document came to an approximate total of 64 lakh rupees. That was an absolute fortune at the time. But honestly, what an incredible necessary investment into the future of the Republic. When all was said and done, it took the 299 members of the Constituent Assembly 11 total sessions to get this massive job over the finish line. From the very start to the final sign-off, they worked for exactly 2 years, 11 months, and 18 days. That is nearly 3 straight years of sheer dedication to ensure every single rule, every fundamental right, and every regulation was perfectly calibrated for the new India.
So, we've unpacked the incredible history, the years of sacrifice, the millions of rupees spent, and the brilliant minds it took to create this roadmap. It really is a stunning, unparalleled achievement of nation building. But I want to leave you with a somewhat provocative thought. At the end of the day, a blueprint is ultimately just paper. Is a constitution really only as good as the citizens and the institutions who actively choose to uphold it today? Think about that as you consider the monumental legacy left behind by this assembly. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning and keep learning.